Monday is a big day in Kansas. Lawmakers head back to Topeka to start the 2026 legislative session. And time is a factor here. They have a condensed session only running until late March with a lot to consider. Of course, the biggest headline involves the push from Republican leaders for mid-decade redistricting, something President Trump has asked for to pad a Republican majority in Congress. State lawmakers didn't have enough support to call a special session last year, and House Speaker Dan Hawkins says he believes he doesn't have the votes to make it happen now. More on that in a moment. Aside from that, Republicans are pushing for spending cuts from the state budget. Education is top of mind as well, with Kansas school finance formula sunsetting next year. Politicians from both parties have said affordability will be a main topic this session as lawmakers look at property taxes especially. Top Democrats tell me they want to make sure the state's tackling these important issues the right way.
I think the worst thing that we can do as legislators is put something in place to help people for a little while, and then we run out of money and we have this cliff, and then we just have to eliminate it. So I think the best way is, using something that is one-time money for one-time fixes.
The main concern with the shortened timetable this session, lawmakers tell me they're worried wedge issues could dominate the conversation as opposed to major items that matter more to Kansans, they say. Let's get to the heart of the matter with the top Republican in the Kansas House, Speaker Dan Hawkins. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us before a busy week. Session-wise, as we heard, you have a short amount of time here and a lot you want to get done. So what's at the top of your list?
So budget's always going to be at the top of the list. Our budget has been a little out of whack for a few years. We had all that COVID money coming in and it's gone, and so we're really having to pay attention to budget. We're spending right now about $600 million more than what we're bringing in. So we're going to trim the budget again this next year, and that's really my top priority. There's some other big priorities. Certainly doing something with property tax is very important to our people. We've really concentrated on affordability issues really over the last 3 years. And property tax is an affordability issue, so we're really going to need to do something with that.
Let's talk about the budget. You have said publicly you want to cut $200 million out of the state budget.
Yes.
How do you do that? Where do the cuts come from?
So, there's always things that are put in the budget that are not necessary. We really have to prioritize and make sure that we're covering our core functions of government. And then there's other things that are really a lot more discretionary. There's waste, fraud. I wouldn't call it fraud. I don't know that we really have any fraud, but we have waste. And we're going to look for those waste items, and we're going to cut those from the budget. And I do believe we're going to find more than what you think. We've been working on it over the interim, looking at the different items that are available. And you'll see some programs that may have some cuts in them, but we will not cut services when we do it.
Medicaid cuts?
There are some things in Medicaid we're looking at very seriously, but there are things that, and I'm not really at liberty to say them right now, but there are things that we can actually trim that is not going to trim any services.
Last year when we talked about this time, you told me, again, tax reform was a priority. The legislature did move to cut some income taxes, even some state property taxes,
yes.
Though Democrats criticized the majority for not providing meaningful tax relief was the way they put it. What can we expect this year?
Well, I think the key to it is to really get the House and the Senate on the same page right now. That hasn't happened. The Senate produced certainly a constitutional amendment. The House took it up. It did not pass. We sent them several provisions that they never ever took a vote on, and so it's kind of like a one-way street last year. It's got to be a two-way street. It has to be something that the Senate and the House can agree upon. We all know that it's very important for us to do something, and so you're going to see a concerted effort for our folks to really buckle in and find a solution that the state can do. Property taxes, as you know, are really levied at the local level. So we have to kind of work around the edges to find things that we can do.
Redistricting, you have said that it's a priority, but you don't think that it will happen.
Yes, you saw the clips from the other day, and I don't believe it will. Unless something, my comment the other day is unless something changes, I do not see the votes in the House to get there. That would take an 84 vote total because the governor would veto anything, so you have to have 84 to override the governor. And I can tell you I'm so far away from 84 right now that it's a difficult lift. And why I say something has to change for us to get there, and I don't see anything changing.
All right. Technically, the Star Bonds issue for the Royals, the deal runs out in June. You and other leaders had said, though, that December 31st was your hard deadline. What is the future of the Royals as far as Kansas is concerned?
So As far as I'm concerned right now, we had a vote in the LCC. We limited it to December 31, and there was a good reason to limit that. Because the longer it goes, they just play both sides back and forth against each other. They just need to make a decision. The Royals and the Chiefs both had plenty of time. They had 18 months to come up with a good plan. The Chiefs did that. The Royals did not.
So you've closed the book on the
As
Royals.
far as I'm concerned, that's a done deal.
Did they reach out after New Year's Eve?
They had their lobbyists reach out and ask if there was any wiggle room, and I re-emphasized December 31 was the date. You didn't make it, so we're moving on.
So that's it. All right. Real quick on education, we know that the state's education funding formula sunsets next year.
Yes.
But obviously there's a priority to at least get the ball rolling there.
Yes.
What do you think should happen there?
So we've been working on it for a year now. Education continues to be one of our strongest priorities. We believe in a very good education system, and so funding that is important, and we'll continue to work until we get it done.
All right, we'll leave it there. Kansas House Speaker Dan Hawkins, thank you so much.